We are a little late, so I guess we'll just get started. We have a great panel. We'll be talking about games, AI, and how AI is changing games. We have a great panel. They'll come on stage and introduce themselves, but yeah, we have everyone in the panel from people who are building games and applications, uh, perspective from people who are building cloud and infrastructure. Um, so yeah, very excited about this. I will bring all the panelists and ask them to introduce themselves, and then we'll get going. So Sudhanshu, let's start with you, and yeah, we'll just.
Hello. Hello, everyone. My name is Sudhanshu, and I am with Keywords. I am leading the experience working in the field of AI. I have several patents that I have worked on, working on generative AI, large language models, predictive analysis, and different other AI field. Keywords, we are working on different AI technologies. We provide services to different game studios, including AAA titles. We have products like HelpShift, which works in player support, Canton AI, and then we have a Mighty Build, which is working on QA. And this year we have launched AI consultancy, where we are providing custom solutions to different studios who are in their journey of AI adoption. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks. Hi, I'm Sameer Pitalwalla. I head gaming sales for Google Cloud in APAC.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Deepak. I head strategy at Nazara Techno.
Hi, my name is Amit Agrawal. Uh, I'm leading the business for Techno Digital. We are a data center company enabling the infrastructure here in India.
All right, and lastly, me. My name is Vatsal Bharadwaj. I'm founder CEO of Jabali.ai. Before starting this company, I had spent 15 years in games, building video games, game engines, cloud gaming at AWS, Zynga, and Meta. So, as we get going, I want to get a sense for the room. How many of you here have used AI, generative AI, in production, like deployed actual code, art assets in production? Okay, so that's like a quarter of you. Um, it's not bad. Let's see if we can actually change it, change minds of many of you after this panel. Um, Now, my second question is more on the humor side. How many of you think that AI is a soulless, job-killing machine which is going to come for your livelihoods? Okay, there is no one. You're very optimistic. I'm worried, but like you, you all seem quite optimistic. So let's start off. Um, I want to start with Deepak, you. My question is AI the burning platform for gaming studios in 2025?
Yeah, I think this question is obsolete now. I think it's definitely a burning platform in the sense that today, whatever you are doing, whether you are a art designer, you are in engineering, you are in analytics, AI is a tool, or you are a business looking at UA or retention, so on and so forth. Whatever you are doing today, AI is part of your life, part of your work. You might be using 40% of it or 80% of it, but you can't imagine a world without AI today. So I don't think that question even is relevant today, given the world we live in.
Sudhanshu, what do you think?
No, definitely I agree with Deepak. So like he said, this question is already been answered several times, and AI is here and here to stay. But there are certain studios, I think, who are taking it as a like a missing a train on a urgency basis, where they think that they will miss out on a lot of things if they are not get onboarded immediately. And the problem with that is that if you don't uh, understand what AI is and what getting on board to that is, you may uh, in fact you'll lose behind in the sense that you'll do it incorrectly, and that will be a loss of in a lot of aspects. So even though it is a burning platform in the sense that we must get onto it, but at the same time we should do it right. And lot of problems if we do not vet the right tools, AI tools that we use today. Um, it may lead to data leakage, IP leakage, right? And definitely we should think of it as a uh, platform where we must move on to, but with smartness. That what we are doing, we should have the right move. We should understand the platform properly, all the AI tools that we use properly before starting to use them.
So this is for anyone to take, but what teams, across the studio, there are many functional teams. What teams have you seen most impact, whether it's productivity or innovation, as you look across your teams?
So just to add on and answer this question. So like for example, in Nazara, we started with this AI first vision and intent almost a year back. And I think if you have to break the journey down to where we are today, I think the stage one was essentially orienting ourselves, doing a lot of experimentation, trying out a lot of market tools, benchmarking them, and then stitching a few uh, partnerships which have become now very critical for us to kind of incorporate this as part of the work stream. So I think we looked at it in terms of two major impact areas. One is how do you efficiently drive ops, whether it's art and design, whether it is engineering, whether it's QA, analytics. The other side is can you really use now Gen AI to kind of drive better experiences for the players. So, so that's, I think that is where we started. And now in terms of the work streams, I think art and design, like Nazara is a group of entities. So we have subsidiaries across the globe. And today we see that most of the entities have definitely onboarded multiple tools for art and design. That's become now a standard across. There was, I think a year back, we were kind of driving introductions because we had created a little bit of that centralized mandate to say, hey, we have to go AI first. But today, as we see most of the studios today using multiple tools for AI in art and design. We see most of them on, again, engineering teams are today using AI tools extensively. Uh, we are also seeing that in terms of the UA creatives, there is a lot of change we see from where we were. And I think a significant part of that stream has gotten automated. 2D assets is something where bits and pieces of the pipeline are getting driven through AI, but we don't have a consistent in terms of a complete solution. Yeah, so these are some of the areas we have started. QA is something we have been struggling with. I think we haven't found the right solution yet. But yeah, some of these.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And, I want to keep moving. And, I actually want to bring Sameer, you in. And if you can talk about, I think Deepak and Sudhanshu, they talked about some of the use cases. But across the industry, what are you seeing adoption-wise, adoption of AI across in pipelines? And where would you put us when it comes to where AI is on the adoption curve?
So on the first part of it, really, you can divide it into two forms, right? One is using AI to accelerate your existing workflows and to make your business better. And the second is using AI to generate or create new player experiences. On the first half of it, it's really the same sort of ability to use AI within your production pipeline in order to make your games faster with smaller teams, and hopefully be able to kind of ship faster as well at a good economical cost. So there we are seeing in broadly in pre-production, the ability to create concept art really quickly, the ability to go from there into marketing. So you've created concept art, how can you use video models like Google's VO to generate videos using these kind of, using concept art and using those videos to also do marketing and promotional activities, all the way into live ops where you've now all got this large data sets in your, say, your analytics platform like BigQuery. How do you kind of glean insights from that? How do you kind of create new cohorts and then market to those cohorts with customized marketing in terms of right from display ads to generated video ads? So that whole sort of flow from the ability to create something quickly, prototype it, test it, all the way into being able to scale it once it's working is all in some sense getting augmented. The second half is on the generating new player experiences. So those are four buckets in terms of use cases. First one is smart NPCs, which are really, the ability to have, and by NPCs, it doesn't just mean characters within the game, it also means objects. So I think the broader sort of shift to making the entire environment something that is sentient, so you can converse with it, talk with it. If it was a Harry Potter game, even your drawers and your doors could talk to you, right? So that's the broader premise of those environments having some level of sentience. The second one is in-game coaches. So the ability to understand within the context of where your player is on the learning curve or within the game and actively guide them through that. The third one is the ability to create downloadable content really quickly. And sometimes it works well together. You're having an interaction with an NPC within the game environment, and you can actually create cosmetic items within the game which are personalized for that user. So that level of downloadable content, which helps really with those live ops cycles, is becoming much more easier and faster with AI. And the last is user-generated content. So you're seeing that with, obviously Roblox, Fortnite, and others have innovated a lot in it. One of the key examples I think we have done recently is with Epic Games, with Fortnite, where we got Darth Vader. We partnered with Disney and Epic, obviously, with Epic leading it, but we got Darth Vader within the environment, and all of the barks were generated in real time using Gemini Flash. It was voiced through 11 labs, but again through GCP. So I think these are the examples of sort of, both how it's your existing workflows are being changed, and then you can actually generate new experiences using those four buckets right now.
Yeah, I want to ask Deepak and Sudhanshu, because when we were talking earlier, what I heard was a lot of prototyping. So I guess what do you think is holding you back, or other studios back, to go all in on production? Like, what are some of the things which need to be solved?
I think especially in the side of production, game production, one thing that is very important is the quality. So although we are moving towards it, but we are still not there. So any kind of asset or game that we create, the quality is not there. Even I think Genie is one of the very good example for environment creation. And I'm really appreciative of the that project that is there. It is taking a lead, but still it is not there at the production level where we can actually use it in the game. Another problem would be the consistency. Like Deepak also highlighted, that consistency is one of the key area where we are lacking. So although we are making a very good progress in all these areas, but it is more of a pre-production, R&D work, prototyping. We are not yet there for the production scale asset generation.
Yep. Amit, I want to ask you, because I think, Samir and Sudhanshu, they're all talking about like some of the challenges. And I think one of the key challenges will be inference, both availability of inference time compute as things scale and latency, like the last mile or the round trip latency, the inference time latency. So would love to hear your perspective on what you are already seeing when it comes to demand, and how do you foresee some of these challenges being solved?
Yeah, so there are two things to what we have been discussing. One, in terms of adoption of AI and why there has been a selective adoption of AI. What I believe is because of the fewer options available. There are options available which are more uh, controlled in nature, platform specific. It is not agnostic. So there are more and more requirement of agnostic platform that can be uh, brought to the general public over a generic cloud services or generic platforms, so that the user adoption can increase. Second, as you rightly mentioned, this requires proximity and the infrastructure availability in the country, because we also discussed in terms of data proliferage or IP issues which can come up. So we need to adhere in terms of what is there in terms of the data localization or data availability within the country, and do we have that infrastructure available here in India? So this is a cumulative effort which is being developed across the telecom companies and the data center companies as to how can we make the infrastructure available. There is a initiative by government of AI mission, where the latest availability of hardware is available to the general public, and this is available in India. Similarly, what we are doing is we are making the infrastructure available in the remotest of the places, tier 2, tier 3 cities, where you have a lot of talent available. And what technology does is it's a leveler. We have always seen, whether it was a telecom revolution or whether it was, content, uh, the maximum benefit is it brings everybody to a same platform or same level. So that is what is more important. That will actually fire up the requirement or fire up the new use cases that can be seen in the AI. More use cases, more user interfaces, more user generation content that can come up if we make that content available in the proximity of the people.
Anyone else here?
Yeah, so just to add, in terms of, I think, implementation, one factor which has already been highlighted is perhaps the quality of the AI tools available today. But I think I see two other factors as well. One is the culture aspect. I think still, while we know that AI is a reality currently, but I think in terms of how we are adopting it, accepting it, and willingly trying to kind of leverage it is one factor which has to be driven across, hierarchies, across organizations, also at a personal level. So I think that remains a factor in terms of, we have seen, in the set of organizations we have seen the adoptions being very different, not because of the tools are different, but because the intent is different across different entities. Next is also that capabilities, because today AI has reached a point where you need to kind of start building something which is tailor-made for you. The customization is critical now. So are we investing in those custom capabilities which are required to get an AI expert onboarded? So I think building that AI muscle is also critical today.
So on that topic, for like 3/4 of the room who hasn't used AI, so are doing AI tourism, like, do you have advice or tips if you had to start? What are some of the concrete steps if you had to introduce AI into your studio, into your workplace? How to go about it from what all of you have learned doing this?
Yeah, definitely. I think who are just starting off with the AI adoption for their studios, they can start with something which are very basic instead of chasing the bigger dreams which large studios and companies are trying to do. And because they have that kind of budget for R&D, the smaller studios especially, they should focus more on things which can save them some money. either through automation or building something. For example, we have player support, help shift, right? Which helps us automate a lot of things and um, respond to players' needs, their queries in a real time, very fast using AI. Similarly, localization is one of the problem that we are solving using Canton AI, where we are trying to translate the players' needs into different languages. And again, all of these tools are here, which can save you a lot of cost, help you generate revenue, and at the same time, I think human in the loop is a key concept for this. That you should not try to do 100% automatically using AI, because that kind of uh, does not work. I personally feel that there should always be a human in the loop, that who at least cross-verify at the last stage that how your model is working, and human touch is always required. So instead of chasing big dreams, doing big things, we should start small. We should look out for the opportunities where AI can solve a lot of smaller tasks, which can help us move faster. So, even like asset creation, right? Concept art. These are some of the key areas where we can move fast using AI.
Yeah. Anyone else wants to comment or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's, to take Sudhanshu's point forward, if you're very outcome driven, it just makes life easier. So, I want to save money on this particular task. I want to automate, say, for example, customer service. I want to find a way to automate QA. And if I do so, I expect this to be the saving that I get. Or I want to kind of generate new experiences because I would like my retention to increase by X, Y, and Z. I think those kind of statements help you become a lot more specific, and then it's really about whether the whatever stack you're using in terms of models or infra, can it deliver can the application be designed to deliver that outcome?
So we had even gone a step deeper to say that, while this is the bigger goal, but even start small to see if there is a improvement in the productivity of the engineer by looking at their commits and their sprint velocity. So even looking at those early indicators to see if the adoption is happening, because if you don't measure it, you might be having a tool and maybe there is a understanding that the team is using it, but you will never be able to measure the outcome. So measuring the early outcomes is very important. And so Danshu talked about that, building that concept, like, so starting small is very critical.
So I think it is the normal business rule. You should solve a business problem. You should find out a problem and then start using AI for it. So whether it is automation, whether it is the time, the efficiency of the staff. So what is the problem that you are trying to solve? Based on that, you should adopt AI.
Yeah. So I want to, Amit, come back to something you said, when you were talking about infrastructure and especially reaching tier 2, tier 3 cities, cities and regions in India. One of the biggest discussions happening on global stage is, do we have enough capacity, like, GPUs, custom ASIC capacities for these AI workloads, both training and inference? And two, do we have enough power? And so I want to ask you and get your perspective on where are we as India, zooming out a bit more, as India, where are we when it comes to having all of that capacity available? And what needs to be done? And maybe Samir and others can also jump in on what does that forecasted need look like, and what do we need to make happen now so that everyone becomes a creator, a game creator in India.
I think India as a overall capacity building has seen a lot of cycles, and every time we have uh, lived up to the expectation that was there. Whether it was cloud adoption, we were one of the very few countries which had tremendously high digital penetration. and we adopted cloud like nobody else's business. And we saw that the cloud business grew in India tremendously high, and there was a capacity that was created for it. Similarly, what we are seeing, yes, India is a hub for startups. We have seen a lot of excitement around AI. There was initial uncertainties around the allocation of the hardware for India from the GPU perspective, but I think now we have graduated to a stage where we will be able to live up with the whatever capacities that we have and whatever capacities that we have planned to build from a hardware perspective. Now the question comes in terms of how do we host these in India and how do we sustainably host this in India. See, power is not a problem in India. We are a power surplus country today. The main problem that we have is in terms of the distribution losses in power, right? So if we intelligently plan our infrastructure in such a way that the distribution losses can be cut, we can have data centers in and around the generating capacities. We can have more sustainable data centers. This is what is the ask of the day. And I think everybody in the industry, and especially the new age data centers like us, we are leading this way in terms of how can we make our data centers more green, more carbon neutral, more efficient in terms of the power utilization efficiency. So I think from a capacity, I don't see in India there is a challenge, either from a power perspective or from a hardware perspective. It's just that it needs to be more intelligently served across the country.
I have a little bit different take on this. It's always good to have more infrastructure, more power, but there is a limit to how much you can invest in it, right? The other way to look at it is how we can optimize these AI models, which can compute efficiently and consume less power, right? There are small language models that are coming up, which instead of being trained on billions of parameter, it can run on millions of parameter and still do a particular job, right? And similarly, there are a mixture of expert concept is coming up, architecture. Then there are research going on in the quantum computing, which can drastically improve the computing power, right? So I think instead of just scaling the infrastructure and putting more power consumption into these AI infrastructure or infrastructure in general, we should focus more on the technologies which can actually save these, because it's not just about the power consumption, it's also the cost that we burn in these technologies, right? But if we use a model which is 10 times cheaper to run on edge devices or even on cloud servers, it will be much more cost efficient, especially for those who are starting off, right? So I think this is another way, another angle to look at it, which I believe will be the future.
Okay, so I have a last question, and for all of you, two parts to it. What is something which you are excited about? It could be tech, it could be a trend. And what is a bet you are willing to make for 2026, which you think no one else would, or which is just unconventional bet for 2026? So two things. What are you excited about, and what bet do you want to make for 2026, which you think is unconventional?
So let me start. One thing which I'm really excited about is the user-generated content, or the user, contributing in terms of generation and usage of the content. So that is something which is coming up. And one thing which I would bet, as my fellow speaker said, that the technology should be available to everybody on a economical basis or a pay-per-use model, because it is not, as he rightly said, it is not advisable for everybody to invest into technology. So what we are ready to take the bets that we will be making the technology available for individual users, for smaller companies, for smaller studios, so that they can consume what they want to consume and pay only for that particular capacity.
Yeah, one thing I'm really excited about is that with AI coming in and democratizing development as we go further, it's not yet there completely. So, but we are looking at India as a gaming, hub. I think one big bet would be to say that you would see a very small team from India building something which is world class using AI, and also. I think the other opportunity, which is not AI specific, but the other opportunity is that we have been seeing the fact that today, given the richness of our culture and heritage, there is a huge potential there. So if there could be a blend of that richness which we have on the storytelling, on the culture heritage part, with the games, entertainment, because we are seeing today Indian consumers spending on variety of things. So there is a monetization which is happening. Now gaming has to find at least that potential for India and also beyond India. I think that potential can be unlocked by building high quality games with AI from India for the world.
So, I mean, I think the broader trend would be about how relevant the game engines themselves will be with these world models. And if that's sort of like the trajectory this will follow, then in some sense, everybody will have their own personalized game. Seems to be the only sort of natural direction that goes. And I think that will change the idea of sort of what it means to be a game designer, an artist, because you're really kind of defining a world and everybody's having their own experience within that world. And it's not as directed as existing games are. Obviously, what the idea of multiplayer and all would look like will be a very different thing. But I'm assuming by that time, the agents you play with will also be probably very close to human players. So yeah, that's sort of where it's at.
I think all of these are great points. One thing that I would bet for 2026 especially, because a lot of us are talking about AI in asset creation, right, in production. My take is that we are not yet there, at least not for 2026. Our team has done a good R&D project called Project Cara, where we built game using AI. It's a racing game. And it's successful, it's there. But there are still a lot of concerns around, ethical AI use, responsible AI, then legality side of it. And I'm really excited what will come in the coming years in the game production, and we are on top of it. We are actively working towards it. But for specifically for 2026, I think AI is where it is less fancy. It's not that all fancy things that we are talking about, that's not AI for 2026. AI for 2026 especially is a back office AI where it can do a lot of tasks for us in saving our time, saving our money, generating revenues. Like I said, localization, QA, we have mighty build and test for QA. We have localization, we have player support, a lot of other things where AI will take over. And those who are missing out on these, I think they will somehow will lag behind. So my bet for 2026 will be these tools rather than more fancy AI tools that I feel will take a little bit more time compared to others.
All right. On that note, we can take a few questions from the audience.
Check. So my team, I'm working in a company, and my team developed a game, which is a college game, and it had 20 characters, which was running through AI model itself. And the game, we let it orchestrate the whole storyline, and we gave it just a characteristics of 20 characters. And then the player had an opportunity to go through the different characters and ask, hey, what's up with the college today? And my character will be a new character in town. and he'll be figuring out what is happening in the whole college. But then, like, after all the users got to know that, it is an AI game, we orchestrated the characters sticking to its own role, right? They wanted to, do something else, learn something else from it, but it restricted. And then even the D1, like the day one playability, like decreased because of it. And they wanted to do something other than the objective. As soon as they know it is AI, they were like, it can do anything now. And they started asking other questions which wasn't related to the story. So, like, these kind of shifts the mentality, like, how do we, like, channelize for the users to make sure it is going in an intended way itself. Like, now it doesn't have any, like, it is just a baby right now. AI is just a baby and it's blooming now. And, like, how do we, channelize it uh, to make the production flow properly?
Okay, so I guess the question is much more on like reducing hallucination and controllability of these LLMs.
I think I see the question in two ways. One is what he said is they built out a game where there was AI, I think NPCs, characters in the game, and the player would interact with them. And the moment this news came out, and then people started playing around. So I think this is a good social experiment, and that's the world we live in. So I think one part is that, like what he said about whether it's hallucination, whether AI going further higher in terms of getting into the AGI mode or building smarter agents. So I think that's a part of the whole process of fine tuning and the technology evolving. And but this is a good experiment where what you saw, I think.
Sudhanshu, do you want to talk about how you actually handle these things?
No, I think agentic AI is a way to go for these kind of problems. So like you said, if it is deviating from your core concept, you can properly prompt it, build an agent around it. Although nowadays LLMs can answer almost anything under the sun, right? And even if the players are interested in talking something different, to a certain extent, you can allow your game to interact, make it more interactive by letting them talk about what they want to, but at the same time, help them guide them back into the game, right? So build an agent around it, which can answer the players' questions, interact with them how they want, but at the same time, make them aware that you are still in game and this is the story and this is where we should proceed. So guide them through that agentic AI.
In fact, the customer support agents which are being built, these are built with those guardrails and that kind of training.
Yeah, hi. My question is towards Sudhanshu. You mentioned initially about data leakages. So I wanted to understand what things we can take care of in terms of enterprise using enterprise editions of, all the models like ChatGPT, Cloud, or anything, because they claim that the data is secure and it will not be passed on to the main model.
It completely depends on what kind of AI tools that you use. So each models or tools have their own policies. So first thing that we as a team do internally is that we vet all the AI tools that we use, especially if we are using for client and there is a IP involved there, right? The second thing that you can do is try to keep it completely in your own infrastructure. Try to use open source models where you have the complete control. We do know that there are possibilities that we have to rely on third-party models, third-party tools. So we need to ensure that we read their legal document, privacy documents, and we have the guardrails in place, all the security measures taken in place before using it.
Okay, more questions?
Hey, how much are you guys seeing companies actually use, like, try to build the AI that we would require for the future? Because as far as I can see, we're still using it at the base level, like what you guys talked about. But are there investments being made from companies like Google and Nazara, etc., to work towards automating almost everything?
Thanks. That's actually a great question because a large part of the questions are around outcomes, right? So Nazara's invested in Google to help them with their AI transformation, and it's been a while for us to. We have been working on it for a. We've now set up, I think, the foundation, and now we're beginning to build on top of that in terms of the core. So AI is like fancy words, but underneath that, it's good old network, compute, and storage. And then you kind of build, use that, and then find ways to get that architecture to then start performing using inference. In terms of the broader gaming industry, I think there are two parts to it. The larger traditional companies are slower to transform. Pretty much every startup you'll meet over here or an indie developer is all talking about building AI native experiences. There's not a single gaming company you meet which is not using AI in some form of its workflow or building things in terms of in there, like, we're looking at hidden object games. They're looking at how what they can do to kind of create these things. So all genres of games are at least on the grassroots level completely AI native in terms of whatever they're doing, right? From using it in the workflows to building these newer experiences out. I think the larger firms for them, it requires a significant kind of rethinking because 57% of all titles currently that are successful are more than 6 years old. So if you look at the gaming industry, a majority of gamers have grown up on certain titles and those titles continue to take a large. So, in some sense, you don't want to kill a revenue making asset. And you have these experimentations that are happening with those 4 buckets of NPCs and downloadable content and UGC in general, but happening inside of these larger games that have become platforms. The grassroots is, I think, fully changed, and we're seeing that across the board from tools and utility companies in markets like Surat all the way to, gaming companies who are building in Bangalore and here.
So just to add on, at Nazara, essentially we are looking at building a partnerships framework where we can work with the best and kind of create the infrastructure to start with. And slowly towards the second phase is when we start building our own capability and kind of creating things for the future. So I think we are a little away from that stage, but we have started building a partnership, deepening the partnerships to ensure that we get access to the best today. The customization of whether it's a custom LLM, it's a agentic workflow, so on and so forth, those things are going to be built in the next phase.
Okay, I guess we have time for one more.
Hey, so I guess my question, since it's going to be the last, is kind of philosophical. With companies trying to use AI, are the developers afraid of a Frankenstein effect, where they're going to build a monster that will eventually kill them? So do you see, what kind of pushbacks do you see within your company, and how do you overcome that and get AI to work alongside everyone?
Yeah, so I think I alluded to this earlier when the implementation challenges was there. So I think the cultural challenge is real. It's real that across teams you see some kind of a hesitation or apprehension, and I think this is a moment of reality in the sense that, of course, if today you don't ramp up yourself in terms of how you are leveraging AI, there is a risk and high risk to become obsolete, irrelevant as you go further. So I think that struggle, that cultural change is something which we grapple with. I think it takes a lot of orientation, training, hand-holding to ensure that it's seen in the right light, because people get an opportunity to do something larger, more, because finally you want to do more. You don't want to do the same thing with less humans. The intent is to do more. Hence, we are trying to address those aspects. But I think this is that kind of a inflection point where there would be these fears which are real.
I think this is a real opportunity for us as Indians, because you see most of the population that we have within the studios or developers, it's a young population, and if we are trained on the latest technology or the latest tools, or we adopt to the technologies of AI, I think we can be a force to reckon with. Like what he said, it will not be that we'll be making games with lesser number of people, but we'll be making more quality games for the world.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's all we had time for. I just want to end on that note, and I think your last question was really good. I think we're getting into the age of abundance, so it's not about losing jobs, it's about each of us being able to do 10 times more and have higher quality. Uh, and so, that's how I look at it, that the nature of job will change, we'll have more free time, but we'll also accomplish a lot more. And that actually, it was a philosophical question. Ironically, it will actually open up time to go back to philosophy. It's a bit lost in how busy we have all become. So thank you all for all the questions. And please join me in thanking the panelists.